Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm always excited to introduce the best player from the United States of America, the Protoss, in the blue, the Battle Mage. It's Astrea. But quite the opponent, ranked #1 in the world by the foremost expert, Dark. It is, of course, the final boss. It's Dark. A best of 3 Protoss versus he took the gold. He always takes the gold. All right. There's a gold base to be taken. It doesn't matter where or when, and Astrea scouted it. All right, there's no time for introductions. There's no time for early game. And there's barely enough time to beg you for likes and subscribes. And Jimmy, what are we... Quickly. What? 1,245 likes on this video, on this cast, on this series. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. This series comes highly recommended. These two with distinctly different styles and have clashed dramatically in the past. Astrea has a tendency to get almost too fancy for his own good. But when it works out, it looks amazing. Whereas Dark is dark. So that's all I have to say about that. A proxy Stargate on one side of the map, double Adept production on the other. They're going to meet in the middle, right around Dark's gold base. I'm not saying he's a gold digger, but he definitely wouldn't deny himself a little bit of extra prize money. That's the Adepts coming in. The rocks have been taken down, which actually allows easier pathing for those early Adepts. The drones on the run, playing ring around the hatchery here. The Queens, politely yet firmly insisting those Adept leave for now, but Astrea managing it well, only taking shield damage so far. The Oracle, no Oracle yet. Looks like he wants to start it off. Actually, a bit supply block there. Small mistake out of Astrea as he's building constant Adepts. He's got more pylons on the way. Looks like Dark is going to commit to killing the Adepts. Astrea shades out. Will he get one? Just barely. Dark picks them both off. So Dark probably feeling a bit more comfortable now. As this double Adept play, yes, it's likely to be a Stargate follow-up. He knows that. Now, does he know where the Stargate is? Almost certainly not. And that is a defining characteristic. Oh, this is so smart from Astrea. Going towards the main. Obviously, so if your Stargate's in the main base of your own base, which is a weird statement, then it would come past the gold. There's only a queen. There's no spore crawler here. That queen coming out at a fortuitous timing. And killing 5, 6, 7. Almost gets 8 for my full set there. But 7 drones. 42 to 30 workers in favor of the American Protoss. The Adepts are holding the watchtower. The Zerglings will be able to get the wraparound. More Adepts shade into the gold. And thankfully for Dark, there's a Roach there, some Queens. This one didn't do nearly as well. Another Oracle comes into the main, though. Gonna pick off a few more drones, keeping control of the economy, but you do have to be careful, and Dark's figured it out. Those Oracles are coming in from quite a curious... Is that a wall? Oh my god. Astrea! Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's not gonna bother with trying to finish the Void Ray. Void Ray would be a big help. Wow, what a crazy setup back here. A whole bunch of Stalker Zealots. This proxy setup will be taken out. But it is buying a lot of time for Astrea. He just built up a gateway army back at home. Bunch of Stalkers. Doesn't have any other tech buildings. It's just gateways. Then again, Dark does not have a lair. He has Zergling speed and a bunch of Sloaches here. No hope of getting anything but the Ravager Zergling Queen. Then again, that's gotten Dark pretty far in the past, so... Alright. Oh, one of the Queens gets assassinated by the Oracles, but the Oracle, Brenda has her revenge! Oracle's so annoying. But, once they're damaged, they're permanently crippled, and have to be very wary of pretty much anything at that stage. Astrea's actually moving out, trying to keep some pressure on. Runs the not insignificant risk of getting surrounded and mauled to death by the Roaches and Lings, but at the same time is forcing a response out of Dark. Just by its very nature controlling Dark's drone count. So this constant aggression, with the Oracle overhead and a minimal amount of queens, on top of the fact that Dark has these bases split up like this, when you take the gold, it's essentially an outpost disconnected from your bases. You don't have the creep, can't move the queens, or even your units around very easily. So Dark is stretched pretty thinly, and Astrea has exploited that thus far. But now that Dark is taking a 4th base where his 3rd would normally be, and Astrea is taking his 3rd base where his 3rd would normally be, we're going to kind of consolidate into something resembling a standard game. Both of them looking at 50, 60 workers, and as is customary, Dark actually has less. But that never seems to really be a factor for him, unlike every other Zerg. A second robo, as well as a robotics bay. Astrea is moving in to... is it going to be Ruptors? Yes. Immortals and Ruptors. A direct counter to the Roaches here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Astrea is going to be looking towards a 4th base soon. He's going for this heavy tech play. Astrea has a tendency to pretty much build the most complicated 200 supply armies. You don't get nicknamed the Battle Mage, at least by me, without being a very spellcaster-focused sort of Protoss. Now, again, for every game that looks incredible and arguably overpowered, there's a game where it all kind of just falls apart, as these are some incredibly difficult units to control, not only to affect your opponent with disruptors especially, but to just not shoot yourself in the literal foot, as disruptors are a dangerous tool against Zerg and Protoss alike. Alright, the mineral wall has been taken down. The Oracle, oh my god, Dark actually almost boxed it in there. Bracketed it with corrosive bile. Astrea reacted in time, though, gets it out. That revelation is a huge deal in keeping track of the units. He can't spend any time on the robotics facility building observers. At least he very much doesn't want to. Astrea is taking the 4th to the north, but the Zerglings will cancel it for now. Minimal losses for Dark. Hive is on the way. Templar Archives for Astrea. He does not have Blink, and he's only now getting +1. Dark has his +1 ranged attack as well. And the army's moving around. It is a haphazard movement. Obviously, there's a method to the madness, but right now, both players have armies that could easily beat the other, depending on positioning, depending on spell casting, corrosive bile, disruptors, force field, locks them in, fires the shot, knocks out a bunch of the Roach Ravager. The Banelings on the run. Another shot comes around the corner. Banelings detonate on the Stalkers. A mediocre engagement indeed on a Dark, and the Disruptors keep flinging out. And he's got more shots, and he's throwing them out in front of the Zealots. The Zealots probably getting very stressed out, but he's out of Disruptor shots. But Dark is nearly out of units. Astrea commands the center of the map, holds in Dark's units, and knocks them out. But Dark waddles in with a counterattack. Slow Banelings into the 3rd will almost lackadaisically just burst their way through. Running out of targets awkwardly, kills 11 probes. Dark is taking plenty of damage at home, but he has 78 drones, so the turntables have turned on this one, but the shots are fired off to both sides. Disruptor does get a shot at the last second. Going to clip even more Roaches. Another shot on the back line, off the mineral line. The hatchery is nearly dead, though it's almost obsolete at this point. Disruptor's out in front. You got to be careful with those shots. Force field. Great force fields to zone out the Zerglings here. But the unit count outside of the robo units is getting relatively thin for Astrea. The battle will continue. Roaches building off of it. Broodlings an existential threat to Stalkers, but then most things are. And Astrea may be forced back. He's able to knock Dark to 4 bases. The gold base no longer a factor here, and Astrea has taken his 4th. That slow Bane, I'm not going to say run by, but the amble by that the Banelings, oh my god, the stasis, that the Banelings were able to do is what has kept Dark in a comparable position. Notably, he's got a Hive done. He's about to finish Adrenal Glands, which is a massive DPS upgrade for those Zerglings. And there's no, okay, I was about to say there's no Archons, which will be true for about 5 more seconds. But Astrea is merging 3 Archons with the main army. Not an overwhelming number, but enough to severely discourage any but the most determined Zerglings from untoward activities. Meanwhile, the Dark is expanding just everywhere. He's retaking the gold. He's taking the bottom right corner, going up towards 6 bases. It looks like some Banelings were cut off by a battle group of Archon charge lot. More Zealots into a warp prism that I believe flew directly over Dark's hatchery, so he knows about it, but there's nothing he can do about it directly. Spore Crawler going to discourage it further, but Astrea has a comparable army, and with disruptors, he certainly can make a fight of it, as we've seen so far. I believe the very first Viper is in production right now for Dark, and without Vipers, there's no easy way to dismantle that disruptor death ball of death balls, as the disruptors will take chunks of the army, and as long as Astrea keeps up, well, like I said, determined Zerglings. Astrea manages to lose Archons to Zerglings, but at the same time, he sacrifices those so he can take out the hatchery on the right flank. So it wasn't damage without return fire there. But Dark is on the counterattack. Zerglings headed in towards the third. A single cannon won't stop them, and there's nothing in the wall at the natural. The Zerglings get in. The probes are exposed. Has to recall. The shield battery keeping things intact, actually overcharging. Zerglings head into the main, but Astrea's in full retreat. Dark slips through, and more probes are gonna die. Losing more in the center. Massive hit! Oh, no. One more time, Jimmy. I need to see what happened in the center there. We caught the tail end of it. I couldn't tell if he landed it. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day if he landed a shot or not. But we need to see what was hit there. I think it was a bunch of Banelings morphing. Well, the Zerglings get into the natural. Yeah, Dark heads for the Banelings. Astrea fires off a volley, knocks out... Okay, the Banelings are canceled, but he killed a bunch of roaches. Meanwhile, a dozen probes. 15 probes dead. The pylons being targeted. Wow, they just ripped through the pylons. +2 and adrenal glands. Very dangerous Zerglings, but Astrea has been very diligent about his probe count. He's still around 70, building 4 at a time. But Dark still maxed out. Neither player, I think, has really made mistakes this game. It's just been an exchange of views. A very violent exchange, but they both had their style. Dark with his more strong arm Zerg, and Astrea trying to dismantle it. Meanwhile, charge lots on both sides. A dozen charge lots to the left and right flanks, and the main army up the center. He's trying to find an engagement for the disruptors to land the shots. He's found it so far. One more could decide. Fires off a volley. Zones him out. A bunch of Banelings, but Dark cancels them all the split second before that. He dodges with the cancel. The Zealots holding the line. Warp Prism decides that maybe this isn't the place to be warping in more charge lots. He may rephase it. A counterattack from Dark to the other side. Shield battery overcharged. Some Zealots warped in to hold the line. And indeed they will for now. But Banelings rolling by. The Archons won't be done in time. Astrea trying to run. And the probes sacrifice themselves for the good of the many. He only loses 7. It might not end there. The roaches are closing in. I think Dark is trying to trade them out somewhat. But so far doing just fine. More Zerglings, more roaches. Ravagerling Bane still doing well. 11, 13, 14 and counting workers down. Archon dragged in. But point blank range isn't so bad for Archons there. Disruptor shot clips more. Roaches finally cleaned up. 17 probes down. Dark still sitting on 68 workers back at home, which is not an incredible economy. The Roaches actually won the fight. They have +3 attack. The Zealots have +2 and +1 shields is now done. But wow, I've not seen too many players prioritize ranged attack just for Roach Ravager. But Dark, and he has Burrow done, but no Burrow move. Just looking for an opportunity. The Immortals, a disproportionate response, if there is such a thing, against the final boss. Meanwhile, more Zerglings. Needs to merge. Gets one Archon. Shield battery overcharge. Zerglings overrunning. The Immortal, too many targets. Recall! And he gets it through. But at what cost? Immortals and Archons surprisingly incompetent at dealing with mass Zergling. And this may be a disaster. Now, okay, actually the recall surrounded the Nexus so well it saved it. But did he notice the Zerglings burrow Dark underneath? He may be able to just take it out with that. Corrosive Biles on the mineral wall. The Raptorling Bane. Disruptor shot. Dangerous to both sides. Mutually assured disruptors. And Zerglings and Zealots alike. The Zerglings... He unburrowed, but there were still units there. Somehow, Roaches got into the natural. They're not even burrow boom. They just walked in at some point. The shield batteries in each base are the real MVP so far, but more Zerglings looking to overrun. He just targets the Nexus. It's going to go down, but Astrea has another one on the other side. Dark is closing in. Astrea is starting to crumble. He still has the economy. He's got 11 gates and double robo. And Corrosive Bile is their store, indeed. So finally, Astrea has a more reliable option against these huge groups of Zerglings and Roaches. Without Psionic Storm, I don't know if he could withstand the repeated assaults that Dark has put together. Dark, he recovered in typical fashion from the near-critical damage that Astrea was able to deal with his meticulous, his almost surgical timings. Dark just threw it right back at him with a little bit of everything, everywhere, all the time. So, what a game. Oh my god. One of the most action-packed, especially for this matchup games, I have ever seen, and we're no closer to a conclusion. Both players reaching a little further up the tech tree, but not particularly far. Maybe those disruptors are dangerous to everyone. Spire and Ultraless Cavern for Dark. Storm melting a couple dozen Zerglings in the center. There are 72 on the field still, 48 more in production. Now, the Zerglings, he recalls! He abandons the army! Flee for your lives! On the run, but the Zerglings! A lot of them softened up, but still. Ooh, actually the Zealots cut right through them. +3, +2. Interestingly, the Banelings! Interestingly going for shields over armor upgrades. Really focused, especially on those Archons. There is no Storm here. He doesn't have the energy. The Archon's coming up. The Immortals in retreat. Banelings rolling in. Astrea reacts. More Banelings. Wait. Does +2 shields save the probes from the +3 Banelings? That is an interesting exchange, but they don't get one shot, which is interesting to note. This Nexus, on the other hand, gonna have a tough time of it. Astrea down to 123 supply. Dark still nearly maxed out. Ultras in production. Greater Spire. Astrea is crumbling. He's holding, but it seems like a little bit less each time. He's trying to build up that sort of death ball, at least enough power in a single army to just punch through. But Dark is not giving him any opportunity to leave his base. For the last 5-6 minutes or so, it's been all Dark all over the place. Astrea been unable to really respond. Ultraless Cavern is upgrading. Ultra Speed now. Chitinous Plating already done. Greater Spire nearly completed with 6 Corruptors in production. And Broodlords might not be the win condition here, but they certainly help. And will force the issue against Astrea if he's not able to get something done soon. Some drones going down. Dark doesn't have that many. He really just put so many cheap units on the field. More Zerglings coming by. Try to stasis. Not enough. Into the mineral line. Rips through a cannon. The probe being slaughtered. Another dozen probes. How many workers? 89 probes have been killed. 89 probes have been harmed in the making of this game. And that won't be the end of it. He burrowed some more Zerglings back here. Astrea is scrambling more together. More cannons. Game slowing down a bit as both players are starting to mine out of their main, their natural. Third base is drying up a bit as well. Bringing observers out to deal with this. But Queens and Ultralisks. And really? Dark. Oh, Storm's good. But Broodlord's arguably better. And those are nearly max upgrade Broodlings as well. The Templar in an awkward position here for sure. Gonna lose one without any casting. Almost gets the Viper. Astrea, those are well upgraded Archons, though. They won't be too scared of a handful of Broodlords. It's just the positioning is good. Blink Stalkers go forward. Transfuse. No way Stalkers are going to close the distance here. The Broodlord still kind of stutter-stepping. The Zerglings and Banelings making their way in. The Zerglings into the third. Dark besieging the gold base. Astrea can't really afford to give up another base. A recall is forced. He's into the... Loses another Templar to his own storm. The natural wall is crumbling, but a counterattack from Astrea with Storm to boot. He slices through the Zerglings. Meanwhile, well, actually, Dark lost 20 drones and his only comfortably mining base. Whoa, wait a second. That, of all the bases to pick, that was the one. Astrea, on the opposite side of the map from the Broodlords, just gave himself a lot of breathing room here for someone who's down to 37 workers. And now, Dark's relatively immobile Broodlord army. You really need all the queens, all the, if you have any Ultras, Vipers together. It can't move around very quickly. It's not the most agile creature here. It makes Archons look positively spry. Dark still counterattacking, but the supply is dead even. Slightly edging in favor of Astrea. Dark has not been able to drive the point home with the Broodlords. They're just not strong enough to power through these upgraded Archons. He needs so much support behind it. Astrea has been able to divide and is getting close to conquering. Still, though, 4 more Ultras on the way. The income has evened up. The upgrades are 3-3-3 for Dark on the ground. He's got +1 air attack. 4 Ultras, 2 more Broods. Dark, I think, is just gonna consolidate to this southern half of the map. There's still almost untouched bases to the north for both sides, including that rich Vespine base to the very top left. Five probes at a time. That's what Astrea chooses. He's lost 103 probes. He's killed 52 drones. 650 dead Zerglings. 99 Zealots. Yeah, this is that phase when both players are like, well, actually, I don't have much. There's almost nothing left here. What now? There's a full energy Viper, but it's at half HP. Gotta be very careful. Astrea gonna send a significant, not quite half, but a significant chunk of his army over to that left flank. Going to try to drag Dark out of position. Are we going into a full base trade? Is he just gonna give up on fighting this army at all? Oh, but the Ultras! The Ultras! There are Immortals here, but the Ultras on creep on the relatively open field. Astrea on the chase. And, oh my, wait, who's flanking who? The Broodlords are on their way back, but it's just Ravager Ultra. One of the most unwieldy armies Zerg can bring to bear. He's buying time for the Broodlords, which are closing in. There's not that much anti-air outside of the Archons, which are going to have a tough time maneuvering. Dark, I think, bought himself the space he needed. The Templar are exposed, gliding slowly across. He recalls. Enough. Oh, I love that recall. You could actually manipulate. That's one of the craziest, furthest away recalls. If you put it on the very edge, it gets recalled in the way you recalled it, away from the base. So if it's in like the top left of the radius of the recall, it gets recalled to that relative location. It's just rarely do we see players actually using that. The sentry boxes. There's a sentry? Anyways, boxes itself in. The only way to keep it alive. But the probes are crumbling. Astrea still looking to pick a fight. 42 to 47 workers. We're still unclear. It feels like Dark has the army to beat, but he can't use his army to beat Astrea because it's just too slow. The Broodlords can't stray too far from any of Dark's bases, or Astrea will just go around. And if Astrea goes around and catches the Broodlords out of position, well then, that's all Dark really has. I gotta stress, like, my favorite part of this game so far is how neither player's really made mistakes. It is just a strategic and tactical and whatever other buzzwords back and forth. A give and take here. Clear game plans. And now another army. I don't think he has recall up yet. Oh, the feedback's across the board onto the queens, but another army over to the right flank. Ultras closing in. Oh, but the Broodlords are starting to rain down. Astrea trying to deal with the Ultras is losing some ground. And I think in taking out those Templar, again, Dark was able to... Oh, the Ultras cleaving through the probes. And Astrea just a bit too slow on coming back to defend. He gets caught up against the Broodlords. The Ultras are able to buy the time, and the Broodlords are the hammer onto the anvil. 19 more probes dead. Dark is nearly maxed out. And Astrea has been struggling to find an engagement against the Broods ever since they've been put on the field, and Dark has done a good job of just barely denying him. Dark has lost 0 Broodlords this game. He now has 18 of them. He has 2 armies of Broods, which is something incredibly rare. But I never even... You know, it didn't even factor into me, like, you could split your Broodlords up. Which no one ever does, because it feels like that's a mistake. But in this case, having an army of Broodlords to defend the counter, while the main... He essentially just turned Astrea's strategy against him. Because if you could split your army, so could I. And there's enough Broodlords now that Astrea, who wasn't able to make it to carriers, to Tempest, is now... Well, it's... Even if it was just the Broodlords, it might be too much. He could, I guess, go for a just straight up, I'm going to try to kill all your buildings base trade. Which... Well, the Observer's gonna spot the Broods. He knows that the Broods are pretty much on their own. This is it, the last gambit. The Broods are on their own over here. This is your best chance to actually kill them, Astrea. He's on the run. He's just going for the base trade. Which... Dark has gone this entire game without losing a Broodlord. Which is crazy, considering how far around the map he's been going. But Astrea has to recall back to one of the only Nexi he has left. The Archon's flanking, but Astrea is out of options, out of units, out of economy, and out of supply. And I think he may very well be out of this game. What a game it was, though. Dark's invincible Broodlords slowly, inexorably making their way across the map. 55 to 177. I don't blame Astrea, because it's almost impossible to take stock of exactly how much Dark has, as both these players have been constantly going around. Will a Broodlord die? Will he get one? No. Team Talon's Dark. His new team, by the way, will go the entire game without losing a Broodlord. What a game it was, though. I don't know how you follow that up. But Dark just... It was close, but it wasn't close enough. It feels like Astrea. Again. He's so close to having it all together. And that's that Battle Mage style of, I have all the right things in all the right places, but it feels like so much has to go right in order to carry through, and so much can go wrong before it does. But still, what a game. I don't know how we follow that up, but we have to. That's what best of threes are all about. Jimmy. Game 2, Oceanborn. For some, you know, I love that name. I think it's fitting. Team Talon, Talon Dark. The image of like, I'm thinking of like, some sort of, like, not quite a vulture, but like a cross between a vulture and a hawk. Like a eagle with massive wings going to rip your face. Like, essentially the antagonist in every other fantasy genre. Oh no, the red-eyed crow. That's no crow. That's Dark. I don't know how you got that mixed up. They look nothing alike. Pretty sure, pretty soon we're just gonna have, instead of Zerglings, Starling. Nope, that doesn't even... Back to the drawing board with that one. Overlord, Scout. Astrea's been doing a bit of an odd wall-off on both maps so far. He's actually put the pylon in the wall, which feels like a liability. It is a rarity indeed. Stalker, but oh my god, Astrea! Third base at 240. That is about as quick as you could get the third while also getting like a gateway to Cybercore. I don't think I've ever seen a third base any quicker than that. Astrea pushes the Overlord away and takes the third, essentially under its Overlord nose or tentacles. You know, we don't need to look too closely at the Overlord. Don't worry about it. It's gonna look creepy either way. That is a crazy fast base right there. Twilight count. Twilight counts, but 2 more gases. This could go a lot of different directions. I'm not going to speculate, because the Twilight, the way Astrea's playing this, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a charge lot +1 timing, but he doesn't have a forge. He uses a hallucinated Phoenix to give vision. I'm sure Dark knew that was a hallucinated Phoenix, but it looks like a blink timing. But there's no forge, which makes it a very odd thing. Without the +1, Blink Stalker's just... You're entirely reliant on kind of stiff-arming your opponent. Astrea doesn't have quite the gas for Blink yet, but it looks like he's saving up for it. He only has 1 gas in the main. He took 2 at the natural. I don't know if that's a potential to give false scouting information, or either way. Just a straight up, what? Dark is just building it, but he's like, well, I don't know what he's doing, so there's one way to find out, and that's build enough units. He has to show everything he has. Dark taking the aggressive scouting option. Astrea building batteries on the high ground. He already knows this is coming. He's anticipated it. I think he saw part of it. Well, he scouted with the hallucinated Phoenix. He saw the drone count. He saw the lack of lair. And now, well, that's quite a tell in and of itself. Here comes the Ravager Lane. The Adept Scout. And it actually makes it for a split second. There you go. But the Ravager Lane is here. Blink is still 30 seconds out. That's going to be a long 30 seconds for the American Protoss, who's up 20 probes. It's going to be less now. And the shield batteries on the high ground are a huge deal. He needs that blink so badly. Shield battery overcharge onto the high ground. Wow. That's a pretty crazy play that reshields all the stalkers, sprays that shield back onto them. But the only place that Dark can't hit with corrosive bile is you can't target the high ground without vision, and there are no overlords nearby. Blink 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now with the blink done, he can retreat to the high ground. Yes, he does. And I think he's doing well enough. Dark won't be able to take out the base in time. Astrea gonna blink back down and holds on, but loses 17 probes. That means he's still in the lead, though, and he holds on to the third. I think Dark, realizing he's outmatched, Astrea is prepared. This is one of the most comprehensive and well thought out defenses for that early Ravagerling aggression. And even then, it was still dangerous. If Blink had been 10 seconds later, or if he had lost a few more Stalkers, or the shield batteries weren't quite perfectly placed, very well could have been a victory for Dark right there and then. But instead, Astrea holds the line. He keeps his economy intact, and a critical mass of Blink Stalkers on the field. So now Dark has to be wary of a potential counterattack from Astrea. He still has enough Ravagerling that he can deal with it. But if there's a kicker, like if he adds an Archon, well, that's a lot of, how many Stalkers is that? 25. Oh, no. That's actually a dangerous amount of Stalkers right there. That's, probably should be building more units soon, sort of situation. 6 gateways for Astrea, but he's warping in religiously those Zealots. He's got a proxy gate on the way as well. He hasn't gone for charge. Dark is up to 65 drones. And he's getting a lair and +1. I think this hallucinated Phoenix will trigger an attack. He's going to see. If he sees the lair, he goes. Yeah, there's no... Okay. He sees it. Yeah, well, he actually didn't see it finish, but he saw the timing earlier. He sees there's no reason to stop here. He saw the drone count at the 3rd, which is too damn high to abide right now. So plenty of 52 Zerglings on the field, 5 Ravagers. But Astrea, well prepared to deal with them. He does not have a forge. Gotta be a little careful. Holding that choke point. Just eating Corrosive Bell. Almost loses the Sentry, which is arguably the most important unit on the field, individually. More Zealots are wandering in, though. Off to the side here, just trying to draw some fire. Succeeding so far, loses the Sentry, but the Zealots are drawing a lot of attention. Those Zealots just wandering in. More Stalkers being warped in. And Dark doesn't really have enough units to hold the line here. He needs to fall back. He can no longer hold that ramp. Just sheer gateway units out of Astrea. Oh my. Backs off. For now, the Observer is taken out, but it mostly served its purpose of clearing the creep up to the fort. Stalkers blinking back, trying to keep the pressure on. Corrosive Bow spraying across the front line. The Roaches, the Zerglings have +1. The Roaches have speed now. And Astrea has so many Stalkers. 36 to 3 Zealot. A pylon. Wait, what? Why is there a pylon here? What the? He must have placed that before the base. How long is that pylon? The probe's right next to it. He figured out how to build pylons on creep. They finally found the technology. And Fester's on the way. But the Stalker pressure continues. Alright. Then, ooh, actually a little late on the blink. Eats a bit of extra damage. Meanwhile, though, a lot of Roach Ravager. There's no reason. Astrea doesn't have anything to really fall back on besides his unit count. Falling back means giving Dark the opportunity to get more tech out before Astrea has it. So even if this is a bit dicey, it is his best case scenario, keeping Dark on 3 bases. Astrea took a 4th, by the way. The pressure is on. That Infestor is the most important unit in the game, and oh, he catches him! He gets him, and he knocks out a bunch of the Stalkers. Dark rips out the heart of the Stalker ball, and another fungal. But wait, there's more. And now the Stalkers are routed. He hasn't lost all of them yet. It's a tactical withdrawal for now. As off of creep, Dark is still gonna struggle, but Astrea loses so many Stalkers. 25 dead over the last 3 minutes. I think most of them in the last 1 minute. Gets one Infestor. Gotta be very careful. Gets caught. This one not as bad. Corrosive Bow's making sure he doesn't come back. 3 Festers on the way. Dark has been spending all of his minerals on getting Roaches and Zergling, so he had some extra gas left over. Already has so many Ravagers. Dark is insanely good, as we saw last game. It feels like he should be losing many more. Even though it looks like he throws away units, it's all kind of a mask. Like last game, where he lost hundreds of Zerglings, dozens of Roaches, and not a single Broodlord. This game, he's lost only 3 Ravagers. He has 16 of them. It's not like he's making a small amount, but he loses such a small proportion of the actually important units. It's the prioritization. He focuses, I guess the chaos management is his speciality. And right now, it's truly paying off. There is still that Warp Prism patrolling around. I think partially because he doesn't want to getting pushed in. If he patrols it, it's incredibly unlikely to get sniped off. Is part of it. Also keeps Dark distracted. At some point it might move in, you never know. Astrea doesn't even have +1 yet. Dark is working on adrenal glands for his Zerglings. Gross about to cross the board. Charge is finally about to complete. Kind of crazy how long that took. But Astrea's gonna hold on to his base. Well done there. Ultraless Cavern. 20 Banelings. +3 melee. +1 Carapace. Adrenal Glands. Halfway done. Dark is filling in everything else. Astrea has a lot of supply, but what he doesn't have, it's a bit of a paper tiger situation. He has a bunch of poorly upgraded units that can work well in the right position, but will crumble if Dark finds a good fight. Right now, Dark's army is the most dangerous one, but Astrea can definitely find an angle. That is so many Banelings. Oh my god, Astrea microing his prism. Meanwhile, Dark is sending in like a tower defense wave of Banelings. Oh no. 13, 15, 25. And some Stalkers as well. The Banelings actually ran out of targets, so the survivors head to the main. Like, I was supposed to be dead by now! And Dark actually losing a lot of his economy. 28 probes slaughtered, as they both go for the income, as opposed to the armies themselves. Fires away a fadeaway shot of Ruptors. That's the only thing keeping him out of the Infestor's fire here. Looking for another base. Dark still in position. Get off my creep! Queens take out the War Prism. But Astrea takes out a base in turn. Oh, a blink in. Disruptor shot. Takes out the Ruptor, though. The target fire's there. This is a disaster for us. Dodges one Fungal. Can he get more? That Disruptor, still dangerous. Surprisingly, the Fungal's not able to catch like the vast majority of these Stalkers. But the Zerglings, look at the supply. This is that economic damage plus the sheer danger of the Infestors. The Stalkers can't stand and fight nearly as long as they'd like to. But Astrea comes in with quite a committed charge lot timing. He actually skipped one of the bases. Zerglings find some more of the probes. Again, the game... Is he transfusing from the high ground? Taking Astrea's strategy of defenses on the high ground and turning it with Queens. I feel like Dark has drawn inspiration from Astrea in both games so far, with that high ground defense and support, and then the split Broodlords in the previous match. And again, here we go. It's not like Dark was not big on dividing and conquering before, but clearly doing matching Astrea's strategy with the same or better. A single ultra, yeah, you know, ultras to harass the pros. As when he burrowed the ultra. Well, Astrea's holding for now, but very reminiscent of the what is that recall? They recall an observer? Oh my god. Ah! Oh, there it goes. Okay, fires off a volley. Clearly an observer nearby. Wait. I don't know, what was that? I guess he caught the leading edge of it. Unfortunately, he fired off both Ruptors. There are no more. And Zerglings heading into the natural. Banelings crashing through the Zealots. Fungal going to keep a lot of those units held down. Another Ultra assimilation successful. And borrowing an Immortal, which is quite effective against Immortals. And that's one more danger. Takes out one half of the Robos. Ultraless chase down. Quite a consolation prize. But it is not much more than that. As Astrea still struggling. Astrea's doing so well, but Dark. He just cannot be shaken, nor stirred. Either way, it seems like he ends up... If you try to drag Dark down, he'll take you further. That's where it feels like we are with these games. Astrea tries this all-out aggression sort of counter strategy, and Dark says, oh, is that what we're doing? And Astrea's done a great job with it, but Dark just a little bit better. Banelings burrowed. He finally found this gateway, which has been warping in for quite a while. Another set of burrowed Banes. 5 probes. And Astrea is running, like, the momentum has shifted. Now it's all Dark. The only saving grace here. It's awkward. Is there even an observer? There's one observer to go around. Dark. Ultras towards the net. The Zergling's force field holds the door. But that's really not the important one. The ramp. There's burrowed infestors. More banelings rolling in. The meat shield to lead the charge. The banelings in the 4. 9 more probes. Banelings at the front. Disruptor shot return fire. But Dark isn't done. He's in with more. Immortals and Archons borrowed. He can target down the Raptors. It doesn't matter what he targets. It's all a good one. Tries to get on top of the infestors. Actually is able to take them out. And that means the Ultras are left relatively unprotected. And the Transfuse is going to help keep it together. But the Ultras on their own against mass, there's one shot. One opportunity here for Astrea. Will he capture it? Or is it just a hallucination in the first place, as Dark is rebuilding? Right now, Astrea has the closest army supply he's ever going to have. Disruptor shot. Gets a creep tumor, which is not enough. Another Immortal may go down. Tries to clip. Gets a couple Zerglings. The Ultras are coming in, but the Immortals absolutely obliterating them. But Dark with the counterattack. And again, Astrea will have no home to recall back to. Oh, blunks forward, dunks on the Ultra. Look at the target more. Disruptor tucked in, 2 disruptors. Fires off a volley. Doesn't get too much, but forces the Ravagers back. The Immortals are crumbling. The Archons come to the front line. The supply plummets. The American Protoss is being ripped to shreds. A difficult and drawn out and epic battle, but again, Dark is too much. He holds it together. The absolutely perfect counterattacks combined with his willingness to throw away the less valuable units to keep the more valuable ones intact. He plays a cost-effective game against that sort of active battle Protoss, and he's going to take the series 2-0. But what a series it was. Thank you for watching. I hope that made your day as much better as it did mine. That was one of my favorite series. Is it a series of the year? A game of the year? It was definitely a good game. For the fans, I think. Both of them. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, it would be awesome to check out Patreon. But I hear liking and subscribing. Still free for now. And checking out the second channel for more gameplay, streams, all that. You find it in the description. As well as autoplay recommended. Very helpful if you're looking for more ways to make your day a little bit better. Either way, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.